Emily had not spoken, not a single word, for 10 years, not because she didn't know how, not because she couldn't. The doctors called it selective mutism, a wound buried deep inside, so deep it silenced her world. People around her accepted it, like the cold at the end of autumn, unpleasant but familiar. Only one person never accepted it. Her father. He didn't force her to speak. He didn't push or beg or take her to doctors again and again. Instead, he spoke. To her. With her. For her. Every single day. As if she replied. And maybe she did, in her own quiet ways. A glance. A tiny smile. The way her fingers curled around his sleeve. They had their own language. Soundless. Sacred. He told her stories. About golden leaves. About his youth. About driving across America in an old squeaky truck. Every night, he read to her. His voice. Low. Warm. Steady. Never rushed. Never tired. Emily loved those nights. She never said a word, but her eyes lit up, like tiny lamps in the dark, whenever his voice filled the room. Then, one day, his voice stopped. Her mother said he left, walked away from the family. No goodbye, no reason. Emily didn't believe it, but she didn't ask. She couldn't. She just sat, still, silent. This time, even her eyes forgot how to shine. She waited, every day, by the window, watching the dirt road, the one her father used to return on each evening. Then, she moved. Not out of the house, just a few feet. From the window to the center of the living room, where a wooden floorboard stuck up at one corner. She sat there, every day. Didn't play, didn't eat, didn't speak. Just held the old teddy bear, the one her father gave her when she was 4. The neighbors started whispering. No one had seen the father. No one knew who the man was, the one visiting late at night. They called the police. When the officers arrived, her mother smiled. Too smoothly, too calm. Emily didn't move. Still in her spot, hands wrapped around her bear, eyes distant. One officer knelt, his voice gentle. "Sweetheart, do you know where your daddy is?" Silence. Long. Heavy. Then Emily moved her lips, just barely. A whisper, dry as winter air. "Daddy is under the floor." 10 years of silence, broken in 6 words. The room went still, then chaos, crowbars, cracking wood, mold in the air, a beam of light under the floor, a shape, still, cold. Emily's first words were a eulogy, a confession, and the beginning. They found him. Under the floorboard, just as she said. The body was still, cold, bruised, wrapped in silence, like her. Her father was gone, but Emily had found her voice. The officers stood in shock, not just at the discovery, but at her. This girl who hadn't spoken in 10 years now staring at the broken floor, face calm, like she always knew. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat there, as if the world had finally caught up to a truth she'd always known. One officer gently placed a blanket around her. Another led the mother away in handcuffs. Her face, once calm and calculated, had cracked. But even then, she looked at Emily, not with guilt, with fear. The investigation began. It didn't take long. The bruises told a story. The hidden receipts told another. A story of betrayal, of nights whispered with another man, of a plan to get rid of the one person who saw through it all, her husband. Neighbors started talking. Some said they had always felt something was off. Others claimed they knew nothing. But everyone had seen the same thing. Emily, always watching, always silent. She was the ghost in her own home, present but unnoticed, breathing but unheard, until she spoke. At the station, an officer asked gently, Emily, how did you know he was there? Emily looked at him, long, steady. Then she said, I saw it. Pause. No one moved. I didn't sleep that night, she continued. I was in the hallway. I saw Mom and the man. I saw them dragging something. Her voice didn't shake. It didn't rise. It was quiet, like snow falling. They said he left us, she whispered. But I knew. He wouldn't leave me. The officer nodded slowly. He had a daughter her age. He wanted to cry, but he didn't. He just sat with her, in silence. And Emily? She kept speaking, not always words, sometimes just breaths, or fragments. But the dam had broken. In the days that followed, the town watched her differently, not as the silent girl, but as the child who carried truth when no one else dared. The trial came quickly. Her mother pled guilty. The man she was with confessed under pressure. The courtroom listened, to evidence, to statements, but most of all, to Emily. She didn't take the stand, but her recorded words were played aloud. Her voice, quiet but unshakable, echoed through the hall. She used to brush my hair, and then she stopped. She never looked at Dad when he came home. I thought, maybe if I stayed quiet, nothing bad would happen. But bad things happened anyway, and now, her voice carried them into the light. The day the verdict came, the town was silent. Even the birds seemed to pause. Emily sat outside the courthouse, teddy bear in hand. A reporter asked, "How?" Her words echoed long after the room went silent. "Daddy is under the floor." That single sentence traveled from her trembling lips into every corner of that house, into the basement where the truth lay buried, and eventually into the courtroom. Emily never took the witness stand, but her voice did. A recording of her statement was played before the judge and jury. The room held its breath as her soft, fragile tone filled the space. I didn't sleep that night. I saw them dragging him. They said he left, but he wouldn't leave me. Her mother sat still, face pale, hands clenched. The man beside her, the one neighbors once called a friend, lowered his eyes, unmoved. The town came to watch, not for drama, but for closure. They remembered Emily, the silent girl who always looked like she had something to say. Now, she had said it all, and everyone was listening. It didn't take long. Both were found guilty, life sentences. But justice never feels like victory, not when love is what's lost. After the trial, Emily didn't cry, not in public, not in front of cameras or strangers. She simply held the teddy bear tighter, the one her father gave her, and walked out of that courtroom with her head low, but her heart lighter. She went to live with her aunt, a quiet woman who made warm tea and never asked too many questions. For a while, Emily didn't talk again. But this time, it wasn't trauma. It was choice. She read, instead, books her father once read to her. She wrote. She listened to the wind by the windows at night, wondering if his voice still whispered through the trees. One day, she left a folded note inside a library book. The librarian found it. Silence isn't emptiness. Sometimes, it's the only way to hold on to someone you love. Years passed. She grew, not just in height, but in spirit. At 18, she stood behind a microphone at a youth summit. Hundreds of eyes watched her. She didn't flinch. She spoke. When I was 10, I said state 10 minutes. It took everything I had to say them. They saved a truth and cost me a home. She paused, a long, brave pause. But I'd say them again, 1,000 times. Because sometimes the smallest voice holds the loudest truth. No one clapped right away. They were too stunned. Then one by one, they rose, not for the words, but for the courage. Emily didn't cry. She smiled, just a little, for him, the man who waited 10 years, for a single sentence. And now, that voice, once locked inside a silent child, had become something bigger, a message, a movement, for every child still sitting in the dark, waiting,